Maya Deren was born Eleonora Derekowskaya on the 29th of April 1917 in Kiev, Ukraine. Her mother was an artist and her father was a psychiatrist. Maya Deren left Ukraine in 1922 due to the anti-Jewish riots going on in Russia at that time. She studied political sciences and journalism at the University of Syracuse in New York, USA. She received her Bachelor of Arts in 1936 and received her Master's in English Literature in 1939. In 1943, Maya Deren produced her first film called Meshes of the Afternoon with her to-be husband Alexander Hamid. She directed and produced 6 short films and several incomplete short films. She also wrote 2 books, one named An Anagram of Ideas on Art, Form and Film and The Living Gods of Haiti, which she wrote when she first visited the country in 1947. She had shot over 18,000 feet of footage during her handful of visits to the country, and she took part in voodoo ceremonies. In one of her trips, she was known as a voodoo princess. Deren was married 3 times, first to Gregory Bardak, but the dates of which they were married are unknown, Alexander Hamid from 1942 to 1947, and to Teiji Ito from 1960 to 1961 when she died. Maya Deren died in 1961 from a severe brain hemorrhage, which was caused by extreme malnutrition. She had health problems due to the amphetamines that she was taking since 1941. She was also known for using sleeping pills daily, which could have had an effect on her health. Her husband put together the footage from Haiti after her death and created a documentary on Haitian voodoo in 1985 called
Maya Deren was a very influential filmmaker, especially to women. Her films were very unique and independent. At the time of release, there were no other films out like them. She was very much a part of the underground scene and not part of the Hollywood scene. A lot of Maya Deren's influence came from Alexander Hamid, which was her first husband, but as Maya Deren gained most of the credit for the film Meshes of the Afternoon, their marriage began to suffer. Maya Deren's work is echoed in movies of David Lynch, especially Lost Highway, Mulholland Drive and Inland Empire. Maya Deren was influenced by French surrealist films of the 1920s such as Salvador Dali and Louis Brunel's Un Chien Andalou.
Events that we can assume impacted her film career. Maya Deren was born whilst Europe was in a state of war, not only through World War I, but also through the Russian Revolution. So living in the Ukraine must have been very difficult being surrounded by war. This we can take to assume is the main reason why Maya and her family seek refuge in New York, USA. And then, not long after this, the Second World War broke out. So these 2 events must have impacted the way she viewed the world and may explain some of the content and her style of filmmaking. Also, with her being Jewish, this might have impacted her style of filmmaking.
Maya Deren's films all use similar themes such as rhythm, dreams and reflection. Rhythm and sound help to carry the narrative of Meshes of the Afternoon as there is no diegetic sound. The sound is used to indicate her movements and the film is interpreted through the use of sound. Her films fall into the experimental category as they are complex and her meaning of the film is not explained. The images she uses have a lack of continuity and cut on the action, for example when she steps on different terrain in Meshes of the Afternoon. The narrative of Meshes of the Afternoon can be argued as linear, even though the messages conveyed are not fully understood. The cinematography in Meshes of the Afternoon breaks traditional conventions. The camera uses a spinning effect when Maya is falling down the stairs and also when Maya sways as she walks up the stairs, the camera copies her movement. The interesting camera techniques disorientate the audience yet keep them visually engaged. It is still easy to follow and understand what is going on. The film is full of enigma codes, the majority of which are never answered, which forces us to draw our own conclusions.
Meshes in the Afternoon by Maya Deren is one of the most influential works in American experimental cinema. It was made in 1943 with her husband Alexandra Hamid, who also is a cinematographer in the film. It is a non-narrative piece of work which has been identified as a key example of the trance film in which a protagonist appears in a dreamlike state where the cinema conveys his or her subjective focus. The film's narrative is circular and repeats a number of psychologically symbolic images which include a flower, a knife, a key, a locked door, a face, and a phone off the hook.